This video isn't meant to entertain you. It's meant to wake something up. So listen closely. Because once you hear what I'm about to say, you can't go back. You're not magnetic because of your jawline, your clothes, or how polished you look in the mirror. What most people think makes them attractive, charm, confidence, a smile, is just the polished mask they've been wearing for years. And buried beneath that mask is something you've spent your whole life suppressing. The real you. Not the social version of you. Not the one who knows how to please, impress, and fit in. I mean the raw version. The one that breathes in the dark. The one you feel crawling behind your thoughts. The one you instinctively fear because you know how powerful it is. Carl Jung called this hidden self your shadow. And the moment you stop avoiding it and start integrating it, everything about your presence changes. That's when people start to feel you, not just see you. You ever wonder why some people enter a room and instantly shift the energy? While others come and go like ghosts, it's not their looks, not the money, not the height. It's the energy they carry, the way their presence wraps around everyone like a storm you never saw coming. True magnetism doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what you are, from the alignment between your inner chaos and outer control. But here's the truth, that level of presence requires sacrifice. You can't be magnetic and still seek constant approval. You can't stir desire and still beg for acceptance. Most people spend their lives shrinking themselves to be more pleasant, more appropriate, more digestible, and they wonder why no one remembers them. They've muted the very qualities that make them unforgettable, because attraction doesn't grow in predictability. It thrives in contrast, intensity, unpredictability. You want to be magnetic? Then learn to master your silence. Not as awkward pauses, but as tools sharp enough to slice through attention like a blade. Learn to channel your desire, not to suppress it, but to control it like voltage. Something that hums under your skin and makes others feel it without a single word. Learn to manipulate time, emotional time, a glance that lingers, a pause that stretches, a smile that vanishes too soon. These aren't games, they're signals, triggers, power, and the one who knows how to send them and when becomes unforgettable. Mystery isn't a trick, it's a force. Because what people fully understand, they stop chasing. But what leaves room for wonder, for imagination, for contradiction, that's what keeps them up at night. You want to be remembered? Then leave them with sensations, not facts. Touch something in them they didn't know was there. Move them emotionally. Shake them out of their loop. Make them feel different because of you. And when you leave, they'll feel your absence like a weight in the room. We've been lied to about attraction. They told you it's all about being relaxed, friendly, easygoing. But the truth? The people you can't stop thinking about, the ones who haunt your mind, aren't easy. They carry a tension within them, a charge, a contrast between warmth and danger, softness and strength. Something about them feels unfinished, wild, untamed, yet completely controlled. Carl Jung understood this paradox better than anyone. He said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." That's what true attraction does. It transforms, not just through physical chemistry, but through psychological electricity. So what creates that electricity? Opposition. A man who has tasted his own darkness but chooses not to unleash it. A woman who radiates sensuality but holds it like fire behind glass. A person who could shatter you with truth but instead says nothing and lets your mind implode with curiosity. This is inner tension. And the more deeply you understand your own extremes, your rage, your tenderness, your hunger, your restraint, the more power you have to pull others toward you. Because now you're not one-dimensional. You're not just nice. You're not just hot. You're an emotional experience, and people don't crave perfection. They crave feeling something real. Let me be blunt. You cannot create desire if you're afraid to provoke. Most people walk through the world like they're begging for a 5-star review, always agreeable, always neutral, always forgettable. But the most magnetic people don't strive to be liked. They strive to be felt. And that means saying things others don't say. Holding eye contact 1 second longer than comfort allows. Being silent when everyone expects you to explain yourself. Letting mystery breathe. Because when you give people everything, you leave them with nothing to imagine. And imagination is the amplifier of attraction. Carl Jung didn't just study the psyche. He studied the power of symbols. He believed that behind every obsession lies a symbol of something deeper. A quality we wish we had. A trait we fear. A truth we've suppressed. You want to become magnetic? Become a living symbol, a mirror for people's hidden desires and unresolved emotions. Be the one who exposes what they've buried, not through words, but through your presence. When they look at you, they should feel a disturbance, a challenge, an echo of something they haven't yet faced in themselves. That's what makes someone dangerously attractive. Not beauty, not charisma, but psychological resonance. The ability to awaken what lies dormant in others. But don't get this twisted. You cannot fake this. You can't copy someone's vibe from TikTok and expect it to land. You can't rehearse a seductive smile and think that's enough. This is about becoming the kind of person whose energy speaks louder than their words. And that requires inner work. You have to sit with your cravings, own your flaws, stop running from your fears. Turn inward and look at the shadows you've spent your life avoiding. Because only when you've faced the full range of your inner world can you walk into a room and unconsciously awaken everyone else's. That's how you become unforgettable. That's how you become attractive in a way no algorithm can explain. If you want to be dangerously attractive, there's one thing you need to understand. You can't seduce the world while still trying to be liked by it. Most men today don't carry power. They carry performance. They become masters of saying the right thing, acting the right way, being safe and non-threatening. But underneath that polish, something's missing. There's no edge, no gravity. Just a smooth mask that slips the moment real pressure shows up. Carl Jung would say, this is the danger of the persona, the social mask we wear to function in society. And the more you invest in the mask, the more you lose access to the parts of you that create real power. What parts? The raw masculine instincts. The parts of you that want to dominate, penetrate, disrupt, own space, challenge reality, create tension, take risks. You don't become attractive by suppressing these instincts. You become attractive by owning them fully and then integrating them with maturity and self-control. Think about this. The men who radiate that magnetic presence, the ones who don't have to try, they're not nice. They're grounded. They don't chase approval. They don't over-explain. They don't flinch when things get tense. They create emotional polarity simply by being deeply rooted in themselves. And here's the part most people miss. What makes someone attractive isn't just surface-level traits. It's the depth you feel underneath them. A calm man who you sense could be violent if needed. A stoic man whose eyes betray deep emotion. A restrained man whose presence feels like it's barely containing an explosion. That's tension. That's danger. That's what makes someone unforgettable. And let's be brutally honest. You can't fake that kind of presence if you've never explored your darker side. You must confront the beast inside of you. That's where your masculine edge is forged, not in soft self-improvement routines, not in memorizing pickup lines or copying alpha male advice, but in the quiet moments where you face your fear, your rage, your hunger, and learn to own them without letting them control you. Jung called this the path of individuation, the journey of becoming a whole, integrated self, not just the nice guy, not just the professional, but a full-spectrum man. And when you walk this path, something incredible happens. You stop trying to be attractive. You simply are. Because now people don't feel a persona. They feel a presence. They sense something real, something raw and complex, something they can't pin down but can't stop thinking about. You become the man who doesn't need to speak loudly because his silence has weight. The man who doesn't need to pursue because his energy already pulls. The man who isn't flashy, but still leaves a mark in every room he walks into. This is not arrogance. It's not manipulation. It's the natural consequence of psychological wholeness. Because when you own your shadow, when you reclaim your buried instincts and integrate them, you become immune to the approval-seeking disease that weakens most men. You become solid, heavy, dangerous, in the best way. And that, more than anything, is what makes you truly attractive. Most people think being attractive means being emotionally expressive, being open, vulnerable, and endlessly available. But real attraction doesn't come from exposure. It comes from restraint. Let me explain. Think of the last person you couldn't stop thinking about. Was it the one who poured out their emotions from day one? Or the one who gave you just enough to spark your imagination, but always left you wondering what was going on beneath the surface? That's the secret. Attraction lives in mystery, in ambiguity, in emotional tension. And that tension gets destroyed the moment you give yourself away too easily, when you reveal too much, feel too fast, or try to bond before someone has earned access to your inner world. Carl Jung understood this well. He wrote that human connection is a deep psychological process, not just a social performance. And the people who are most magnetic, they don't connect with everyone. They're selective, not from arrogance, but from clarity. Because when you have emotional boundaries, your attention has value. Your presence becomes rare. And what's rare is always desirable. This doesn't mean being cold. It means being composed. You can feel deeply. You can love fiercely. But you don't broadcast it like cheap perfume. You let people discover it slowly, piece by piece, through how you move, how you observe, how you withhold just long enough to make your presence feel earned, not assumed. This is the art of psychological restraint. It's what gives your energy that pull, that gravity, that keeps people wondering, what's going on in there? It's not a game, it's emotional discipline. And it's exactly what separates the ordinary from the unforgettable. Look, in a world where everyone overshares, over-explains, and over-emotes, being composed is rebellious. It's rare. It's seductive. It makes people feel like they've found someone who doesn't need them, but chooses them. And that's a power you can't fake. Here's the deeper truth. When you've done the inner work, when you've healed, faced your darkness, and stopped seeking approval, you stop leaking energy. You stop trying to be understood. You stop trying to prove your worth. Instead, you become grounded, rooted. You radiate a quiet self-possession that speaks louder than words. And that silence, that stillness, it's deafening. People will project their fantasies onto you. They'll wonder what you're thinking. They'll feel like they're in the presence of someone who sees more than they say, someone who feels deeply but doesn't need to express it constantly to be validated. Jung believed that this kind of presence is a reflection of inner integration. When your conscious and unconscious mind are no longer at war, you radiate peace, but not the weak, passive kind. The kind of peace that comes from power under control. That's what makes you magnetic, not your looks, not your status, but the emotional atmosphere you create. People don't remember the details. They remember how you made them feel. And when you become a person who can create emotional space, hold tension, and resist the urge to overexpose yourself, you become the one they can't forget. Not because you forced yourself into their memory, but because your presence lingered long after you left the room. Let's break one of the biggest lies about attraction, that it's about finding the right person, the right look, the right moment, the right strategy. It's not. Attraction isn't something you find. It's something you become. And when you stop trying to chase chemistry and instead focus on cultivating your psychological intensity, everything changes. Carl Jung taught that we're not just individuals, we are walking contradictions, light and shadow, reason and instinct, order and chaos. The people who become magnetic are those who've stopped trying to deny one half of themselves and instead learn to integrate both sides into a single powerful presence. This presence can't be manufactured. It's not built through manipulation or gimmicks. It comes from depth, from self-awareness, from emotional risk, and ironically, from a willingness to walk alone. Because here's the twist most men never understand. You only become attractive to others once you stop needing to be, when you can go to dinner alone, when you can sit in silence without anxiety, when you can handle rejection without losing your center, when your life doesn't hinge on getting a response, a date, or a compliment, you become free. And freedom is irresistible. People feel it. It challenges them. It draws them in. Because most are trapped in approval-chasing behavior, and when they meet someone who's not, they can't look away. But none of this is possible if you haven't faced yourself. The man who's attractive isn't the loudest. He's the one who's done the work. He's faced the addictions, the guilt, the emotional wounds, the fear of failure, the loneliness, the doubt. And he came out on the other side, not perfect, but real. And real is always more attractive than perfect. Because real carries weight. It carries story. It carries scars and the courage it took to wear them without shame. That's what people feel. They don't consciously know it, but they feel that something in you is alive, untamed, fully present. And maybe they don't understand it, but they crave it. So here's the truth you were never told. You don't need to be better looking. You don't need to be richer. You don't need to be funnier. You need to be whole. A man who's rooted in himself. A man who walks into a room without needing anything from anyone in it. A man who commands energy not because he demands it, but because he is energy. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And once you do, people won't just notice, they'll feel it. So stop chasing attraction, start integrating, start transforming, start becoming the man whose presence speaks louder than his words. Because when you become that man, you won't just turn heads, you'll turn lives.